run several blogs. I have my own rules as to what I say, what I don't, what I post, what I don't, who I talk about. Like, is that everybody's? Is that sort of a social understood?
I think that if any major, this is my experience, any major bloggers who've been around for a while, there is a set of norms around attribution, around giving credit where credit is due, around not showing up and making a random ridiculous comment and putting a link in the comment box or forever be banned by your IP address. There's some basic social etiquette. If you want to engage people, engage them first. Give them props first if you want to be recognized. There's some basic blogger strategies that really work well. And if you don't use them well, you get an IP ban relatively quickly. And I don't consider myself like a hardcore blogger. I'm a sales guy to social media, but I've got a good list of IPs that are blocked now.
Okay, so when you're blogging, what are your
when I blog, in this regard, I came out. I started as Hummingbird 604, and now I actually blog as myself, and I let photos of me to be taken. But the rule that I normally would.
Well, actually, sorry, I have to giggle because I had to ban him from taking pictures of me the first week I met him. Okay, we're done.
We're done. Anyway,
it's
with
blogging, noble of you.
With blogging, I think there is no actual. There are some basic rules, but the rules that I follow, at least, I follow attribution, I follow recognition, I comment on other people's blogs, I quote and I link back when I'm writing about someone else's idea. But more importantly, I have assumed the risk of being a public blogger.
Okay, but when you talk about your friend, do you say,
no, for example,
my friend Jane?
No,
like, do you say, oh, so Jane said?
No, JT, for example.
Right.
But you used all of our names, and you used all of our names.
Because you guys are public.
Well,
Yeah, we're on the platform,
actually
though.
ask people,
yeah,
do you want your real name used, or do you just sort of figure, well, she's got her name on her blog, and
with the bloggers?
Because don't forget, I'm Haute Couture, and I'm Miss Manifesto.
Well, and I'm Rain Coaster,
and you're Rain
I'm
Coaster,
Lorraine, and I'm also Rain Coaster Media.
Right. So where does that line?
Sometimes I'm Batman.
That's a whole other social etiquette.
No, you're raising a really good point.
No, because like how do you decide? Do you ask them, and then do people feel uncomfortable because you've said, I'm going to write about you?
I think we do this with clients. This is actually social etiquette when you're in business, and I'm using like Facebook to drive clients' friends to me, because I throw an event and I take pictures of my clients and I tag them all, and then their friends can see it. Hopefully more of them will show up in my next seminar. But it's basically here, in a public venue or a public environment, I put their pictures up. But if we're at a private party or at a nightclub together or a pub together or at the beach together or our kids are there, I don't do that without permission, right? It's a basic thing. But then beyond that, with blogging, and I hate to say it, is that there is an assumed risk, like being a journalist or running a business, or as a consultant, you're giving social media advice and you're not insured for errors and omissions. You're in trouble. So that's the first thing I ask my lawyer is, what can I cannot say? He says, well, you kind of use Yahoo's terms, or policy with their bloggers, don't be stupid, is basically what he said. Yeah. But then he said, plus buy insurance. He said, buy errors and omissions and buy liability insurance. He said, but just don't be stupid. But I think to the end of the degree, you can't protect yourself completely from an etiquette perspective.
So, okay, fine, but I'm having trouble with drawing the line there, because there's a whole photographic, copyright, privacy thing. Like, I can go out tomorrow and take a picture of somebody walking down the sidewalk, and I can publish that on my own personal blog or on Flickr or whatever, and because they're out in a public space and I have taken a picture with or without their permission, the copyright is still mine and the photo is still mine, it's regardless of whether it's their
this is not etiquette, it's copyright.
No, I understand. I understand. But from that, where do you draw the line between? I mean, like, okay, so you're.
It might be bad social etiquette, and it may be legal with bad social etiquette. So,
but I need to butt in because we dealt with this. I used to work for the Urban Mixer, which was basically a social club that had parties all the time. And on every invitation, on every newsletter, it said, "Come to our events. You will be photographed." Before you could register for those events, you had to click yes, that's okay.
You still do.
That won't stand out.
Yeah, but it does give you a flag.
It's weak, and I think part of it is what you guys need to consider is that there's obviously business blogging.
Yes.
And there's personal blogging.
Right.
Yep.
I think probably from a business standpoint, which is more for me, we keep our blog pretty straight up.
Careful.
Like we're not screwing around, and things aren't getting said that are in any way going to come back to haunt us from a business standpoint.
Right.
However, I'm not gonna, as a business owner, I'm going to do the same thing in my own personal. So I think it's really you need to kind of make a decision for yourself. That, are you willing to risk your own business for your own personal voice? Myself personally, I'm not. So it's kind of that becomes a whole ethical, moral issue.
Well, the separation of church and state is the biggest issue right
That's a
now.
big issue. Yeah.
I mean, you've got your Facebook page. If you're running for MP, you really want that to be private.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's
Right, you're not. It's different.
This is the world's most powerful communication tool to keep secrets.
Kathy's got, yeah, the internet. There are no secrets on the internet. Kathy's got
Is
something.
it okay to, is it
Yeah,
okay
give
to
her.
ask
Let's,
a question?
I mean, like, at this point,
Okay.
we'll just ask questions.
No, I think something that has bugged me for a while, and I've tried to ask the question a number of times, and I get kind of unequivocal answers, but I think we all, in our own minds, have a little code of ethics that we try to live by.
Yeah.
Can there be, or should there be, an overriding code of ethics for social media, or, can that possibly happen? Because a lot of people who are very ignorant about how to use it are the ones who give it a bad name. Is there some kind of guideline we should be giving?
There could be, but you're overriding personal. I mean, from my perspective, my overriding personal morals are going to override any ethical thing you put in front of me. If I disagree with something, I may see the value of it, but I may disagree, and so I'm going to do what I want to do anyway.
But you know what I mean? There's so many people who are ignorant and they have at least a guideline.
But even those, yeah, but the ignorant people are going to be
They're
assholes
not the ones that are going to follow.
They're not going to
And
want to
they get their ass kicked really quickly. This is one of the things I love about the internet. You go on there and you make an ass of yourself, bam, you get it right away. And it's a fabulous learning tool, which is why I always tell people make a throwaway on you first, because they're gonna hit you with it.
What? I seem to remember one.
But there's problem etiquette too. Like for instance, you can make an ass of yourself. But corporations, from an etiquette perspective, how they can really screw up is when they make an ass of themselves and then they delete the web page and hide.
And they
Instead of correcting as they move along. And that's if you want to look at a bad business social etiquette is if you're a business blogger and you write something that's dumb or you do something that's dumb and people criticize you, the worst thing you do is delete it or not answer. Like that's an example of social media etiquette is correct it, apologize, and build from there.
Yeah, that's where everybody has their net reputation. Everybody gets the
like
same amount of
Domino's
respect
pizza.
as a human. Everybody gets the same amount of respect as a human being. But the minute you are corrected and you take it badly, you lose from that respect.
Yeah,
and the minute you're corrected and you go, I'm sorry, I was a complete ass and I will never do that again. And I've read your blog and I thought this was really good and I'm going to write a post about what I've learned from this experience. People go, wow.
Yeah, and actually to that end I had, just from a business perspective and professionally, I walked in on Friday morning and 4 people said to me, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. We need you to do damage control. And I went, oh. All right, what's going on? And I guess what had happened is that a reporter had written a piece that had talked about my CEO. He was wrong, regardless, it happened. And it was a weird connection and it blah, blah, blah. It got taken into other forums in which it wasn't appropriate to have that conversation. And my first response was, no, this is social media. We've got to respond to this and we've got to do it now. And I was as polite as I could possibly be because those of you who know me know when I get angry, polite is not my first go-to. So, not really. Yeah. So I was as polite as I could possibly be and they kind of kept at it and I replied politely.